Hello, y'all. I'm back again for another video. And this video is going to be about verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. Okay. Again, verbal wars, which means wars that are going on through disputes verbally, through speaking. Okay. Not physical disputes. So, verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. This is going to be an excellent video. You will learn a lot. Remember, I'm never going to be narcissist free. I'm always going to be challenged. Okay. I can try my best, and you can try your best every day to be narcissist free. However, they come through the phone, they come through businesses, you'll meet them at your jobs, they'll be within your family and your friend groups, and they will come out the woodwork on you. Okay. So thank you so much for the like. So again, this video is going to be about verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. Okay. Reactive abuse is a form of abuse. It's a form of retaliation. Okay. You're reacting to something. It's normally something that empaths will do. It is an empathic trait to eventually provide reactive abuse. Okay. And remember, this is Advanced Insight Channel. It is nothing wrong with reactive abuse. Okay. When it's going too far. Now, reactive abuse doesn't mean you go to somebody's house and shoot them down over an argument. That's not what it means. However, it can mean if somebody keep shooting at your house, you may be allowed to shoot back to kill the person that keeps shooting that won't stop. That's self-defense as well. Reactive abuse, when it's coming from an empathic person, it is a form of self-defense. And it's nothing wrong with it, okay? So let me check the comments here. So, hello, Cynthia Bronner. Happy birthday to you. I hope you're having a wonderful birthday. So thank you so much for the likes, y'all. So verbal wars, and I'm going to be giving you so DC has your number in the email. Adriana Gordon. I'm not sure what that means about a number in the email. I'm not sure what that means. Thank you so much for the chat. Maybe elaborate on that. I'm not sure what that means. So anyway, verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. So I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to teach you tactics, and remember, certain tactics apply to certain situations and to certain personality types. But you got 4 personality types that HG Tutor goes over. Normals, they're low on empathy, low on narcissism, they're just normal. Then you have the narcissists. They have no emotional empathy, but may have cognitive empathy here and there. Then you have narcissistic people. They have empathy for a small group of people. And then you have the empath. An empath, their empathy will always override their narcissism. However, they will be a bundle of both. They will have narcissistic traits and a lot of empathy, or mostly empathy. But the empathy is what would make me not go shoot everybody down that's a narcissist that comes in my life, right? So, and just having common sense. So, verbal wars. So, I'm going to give you an example. A relative, and I've done lives about this before. My disrespectful middle son that's moved out. My disrespectful middle son. It's an up and down relationship. He's moved out. He's no longer allowed in my residence due to his behaviors. He's moved out, has been moved out for some years now and moved into his own apartment. So, my middle son, he's a narcissist. Okay. He's not an empath, he is a narcissist. So, the thing is with escalating reactive abuse, over time, no matter who it is, a son, cousin, friend, neighbor, don't matter who it is, eventually an empathic person is going to go into escalating reactive abuse. And I fall into the perfect category of that. Now, what happens with that is when there's escalating reactive abuse, I want you to understand this. You are not the true abuser. Okay. If my own son can't stop calling me out of my name, and he's been doing this now 4 to 5 years, 4 years consistently, he reduces the behavior, but every 6 months, he's starting with the bitch word. If my own son does not stop this behavior, he does this behavior when he's not even drunk and high, y'all. Okay, I kind of partially understood it when he would be drunk and high, but he's not even on drugs doing this. And this is because he's not getting the supply that he wants. So, what happens with escalating reactive abuse is the narcissist, they go get other people on you. Okay. So, the narcissist is starting it. So, you always have to keep in mind, and I always keep this in mind. I provided escalating active abuse since the beginning of time. And for me, it works because it does this. It normally will prevent me from being physically harmed. Okay. Sitting back with the I love Jesus speech don't work with narcissists. They don't care about the I love Jesus, I love speech. Narcissists are cruel, abusive, and aggressive people. Okay. So, what will happen is this. For one, I don't look threatening. Okay. I don't appear like somebody that'll really hurt you. Normally, I'm showing a genuine sweet nature. Okay. So, what this says to narcissists is that I'm a weak person. Okay. So, they will view me as a weak person. So, let me see. Check the chat. Hello, sick girl, Layla. And hello to Orlando. Hello to you. Thank you so much for the chats and the likes. So again, with verbal abuse and escalating reactive abuse. So the verbal abuse is starting with the narcissist. They're going to start it. Okay. And the escalating reactive abuse is going to come from the empath or the other person that's usually not the narcissist. Even another narcissist can provide escalating reactive abuse, but they won't use it in the proper form. So, because I'm empathic, when I utilize escalating reactive abuse, I'm going to be using it in the proper way and towards the right people. So, I'm going to give you an example. So, with my middle son, Elijah, this happened just this weekend. Just this weekend. This is Monday morning. This popped off beginning Saturday. So, or actually Friday. So, Friday, Elijah once again called me the bitch word. Okay. And he hung up. Um, it's not a good idea for this. Let me explain to you about dumb criminals too. If you transport drugs and cocaine and you break in court orders and you know I know about it, right? So say you a cocaine dealer. I don't come around you. Now, if I know you a cocaine dealer, I'm not gonna come around you. But I know that every Friday you make a drop over in Memphis. Is it a good idea to continue to call me and call me a bunch of bitches? That's real silly, right? Because what happens is, hmm, escalating reactive abuse. It's gonna click in my head. Let me call and turn this nigga in. This is an example of escalating reactive abuse. So every 6 months, Elijah goes through this thing with the B word, which he's gotten better, y'all. He's actually improved. So Friday, um, Elijah's repeatedly breaking a court order. Okay. So Friday calls me the bitch word and gets off the phone. So I thought about it. Um, and I had words with this girlfriend too. Because what happened was Elijah's getting evicted. And so um he's taking his stress out on me, basically. So he started cussing because I was talking about resources, but Elijah's angry about the eviction. So the girlfriend, Kaylin, she texts me and apologizes for his behavior. Okay. And um, I said, well, you can't really apologize for his behavior. He needs to do it. And I was pissed off about him cussing. And you know, y'all, I've talked about this before when I told my ex aware narcissist that was bragging and saying that an ex prostitute he used to have way back in the day was enjoying or liking being kicked in the head while she was on the ground. I had told that ex aware narcissist, your mother should have aborted you. So this is a form of discipline and also a escalating reactive abuse that I will provide to abusers. It's best for an abuser that does not know how to stop their behavior, okay, that will not stop their behavior. Any abuser that feels like they have a right to do it, if they come in my court, they're in my court for karma, for one. They're going to get some karma. And maybe the Lord kind of walked them over in my court because normally with escalating reactive abuse, I'm providing it to long term abusers. They have a serious history of it and decided not to stop it, and that they feel at any time they could enter into a verbal war with anyone, whether it be me or somebody else. So this is how this went down Friday. Elijah called me the bitch word. Um, I avoid talking to Elijah much when other family members are around to protect the mental status of other family members. So normally if I'm having a conversation with Elijah, I'll do it downstairs or I'll take him off speakerphone, or what I'll do is not call a name back. So he's over there breaking a court order. So Kaylin eventually calls. This was Friday evening, just this Friday evening. So Kaylin calls and she calls me mom, and she's like, Mom, the police just came and knocked on the door. I said, oh, really? The police came? They came to your door? This is how I'm talking, right? So Kaylin's like, yeah, Mom, the police came. And she's not my biological daughter. This is Elijah's girlfriend. So I said, wow, the police came? Hmm. So Elijah's kind of chilled out now because he called me the B word. He notices the police came, but the police have been knocking on their door days that they didn't even talk to me. The police is coming anytime between, I think Kaylin and Elijah say like 9 p.m. to midnight. They just knock to see if they're in there together. Okay. So I say, huh, Kaylin, the police came. She said, yeah, mom, I'm scared. You know, she does all this drama stuff. I said, wow. So ultimately, Elijah gets on the phone and Elijah says he thinks it's his youngest brother, which is my youngest son. So here comes the escalating reactive abuse on my end. I said, why would you think it's him? Did you call my youngest son a bitch? Why wouldn't it be me? You call me a bitch, right? So if I know something about you and the police suddenly show up, why wouldn't logically you understand that maybe the one that sent the police to your house is the one you called the bitch, which is me? Okay. So at this point, I'm kind of like indirectly saying a lot, but not saying a lot. So this is this verbal war. It's been a verbal war going on with Elijah for many, many years. And this is the thing with verbal wars. Verbal wars are the beginning of physical wars. So when there's a verbal war going on, you have to stay out of the physical contact because it is a war. And what happens in wars? People get injured, killed, and seriously hurt, right? Okay. So in a verbal war where there's constant disputes, and there's on and off disputes. It could be a dispute that you have with a family member once a year. Once a year, y'all get into it about when y'all gonna go to the cemetery to see Uncle Bill and Auntie Alice. It could be just that simple. You're in a verbal war. So within most verbal wars, you do want to stay out of the physical contact. Now, with verbal wars, it's the beginning sign of a future violent situation that can come out of it. However, if you interact with a verbal war properly, there will be no violence. Okay. Now, for me, I handle verbal wars a certain way, especially when I know someone has my address. So at this point, Elijah still knows my address. Okay. So I handle the verbal war with him a certain way. And with verbal wars, I use my mouth and I use what I say as a weapon. And I'm very direct, but passive aggressive. So Elijah, he's been at war for me a very long time. And this is the thing with narcissists, y'all. They don't think about nothing they saying to you. I'm just going to give you a couple of things. I even got a live video. I have a live video uploaded where Elijah's saying he going to get his witch friend to put a death curse on me. It's in one of my lives where Elijah's actually speaking this to me. I'm his mother, and he wished a death curse on me, which that ain't gonna work. You see, I'm still doing this video. He has no power to put any curse on me. Whatever curse he tries to put on me, he just put on himself. However, and Elijah actually has two witch friends. They're a mother and daughter. Never had no problem with these people. I pointed out in that video, any witch that's in the voodoo would treat me better than he does. I'm positive of it. So I'm not concerned about no witch. Okay. So Elijah's also, it was around January 2024. I was sitting in McDonald's with another relative on the phone. He had the phone on speakerphone. And this is when Elijah was with the girl that he was committing the statutory rape with, the younger girl. She was not of age to be dating him. So he says to me, he wouldn't cry if I died. I was calm, no problem. I just talked him through it, right? On another occasion within the home, um, he hoped I die. He said, I hope that bitch die. Something to that degree. It was over some chores. Um, it, the boy has been committing, he has been initiating, Elijah, my relative, he's been initiating a verbal war upon me for many, many years. Okay, so we'll give it back to 2022. Even when he said, if I were you, I would wish I didn't have a son like me. Okay, so this is him declaring that he's bad. So this Friday, this past Friday, this was kind of unique because when Kalen texted and apologized for his behavior, and she only did it, in my opinion, because I had mentioned since they might be going homeless, I had mentioned considering renting out my garage to them. Um, but of course, I'm not going to do that. That's not a smart move. And then when you're on a lease, you're not supposed to be moving in all these people that's not on your lease. That can get you evicted. So I'm not going to be moving in Elijah, Kaylin, and two other children. And law enforcement has advised me not to do it too. Law enforcement has advised me not to move Elijah back in. And I do listen to the police. The police are my protectors. And so I will follow policing advice to the best of my ability. So law enforcement has advised me not to move Elijah back in my home. And I have not moved him back in. I also don't allow him to visit here. So the thing is with somebody, it's escalating reactive abuse. Okay. So narcissists don't like to get back or get any taste of their own medicine. So Kaylin texts me. I said, you didn't do anything to me. He should be apologizing. And at the end of the day, he should have been aborted. That's what should have happened. So she tells me I'm a terrible mother. So I text her something to the degree, and I'll do another video about that. A terrible mother. You're a terrible mother to have him around your children. You're a terrible mother for letting your baby eat shit. She lets her child eat feces, y'all. She lets her child take off his diaper, dig in his diaper, and just eat shit. The boy, Kaylin's son, is just gone stone cold crazy in the head. He's had so many behavior problems since he's been poisoned by his own feces. She's so horrible of a mother. I said, well, tap him on his leg or something. You got to let him know not to do that. He's harming himself. This is the stuff she does. Law enforcement will be handling that issue. So my conscience is clear on that. I can't know that anybody child is eating shit once, twice, or on a regular basis and not mention that to somebody. So law enforcement will handle that and investigate that. I've never called CPS a day in my life, but the child is eating feces. So this is a woman. She texts me, I'm a terrible mother, by saying Elijah should have been aborted. But this is called escalating reactive abuse. Remember, reactive abuse is you now are abusing your abuser. And it's nothing wrong with it. It actually is the reason why this nigga or this Negro ain't coming to my door. Okay. So abusers are starting physical fights and coming to the houses and doors of people that do not retaliate and react. So remember, I said in the beginning of this video, reactive abuse and escalating reactive abuse, and it will escalate. And this is why. The empath is doing it because the narcissist doesn't have the filter to back off. They don't have that filter. They don't know. There's no empathy there for a narcissist to know when to stop saying it. So over time, now when Elijah first was talking about he wish I did and all that stuff, I wasn't saying nothing to him, but he won't stop it. Okay. So now I'm going in. You should have been aborted. See? Now, what this does is this puts the narcissist in pain. However, this is also a disciplinary tactic that should be taking place with your children. And this is why. Remember the case with the grandmother, her own granddaughter and daughter killed her and barbecued her on the grill? I'll find one of those videos and put it in the description box. This is what was missed in their childhood. She'd been at verbal wars with them, but she lost those verbal wars, and there was no escalating reactive abuse. See, it's kind of like this. That grandmother that got murdered by her daughter and granddaughter, her daughter did the murder. The granddaughter helped pack her up, okay, and put her on the grill. They're going to put grandma out to cook. When she had verbal wars with them when they were younger, she didn't provide reactive abuse or escalating reactive abuse. So they had no fear of her. There was no fear of her. Okay, so this is an important part of discipline towards these young people so they don't put your ass on the barbecue grill and cook you and kill you. Okay, please understand this. So, like I said, escalating reactive abuse. This is something that unfortunately I've had to put people through, and fortunately I put them through. That's why I'm still here and I'm still alive. So I told Kaylin he should have been aborted. So I'm already aware that Kaylin's going to send that message to him. But remember, Elijah would not get out of a verbal war with me. His narcissism won't allow him to get out of it. There's no filter that tells him when to stop talking to mom like this. There's no empathy. There's no compassion that he has. To him, I'm a nobody, okay? So this goes along with the court theory of undiagnosed psychopath. This is what he was referred to in 2022 in court, okay? However, he is my son, so I try to do my best to be somewhat of a mother to him at this point since he's moved out. And this is the bottom line. With narcissists like this, they age out. Okay, so he's not 5 or 10 years old. He's no longer a teenager saying that he hope I die, calling me the B word. He's like of age, right? He's no longer a teen. He's not a youth. So this Negro know better. So I'm going to treat him like any other man out here. Actually, I'm still treating him better than I would any other man out here because I'm still talking to him. Being loving and supportive too. Everything just ain't escalating reactive abuse. But there's this verbal war. So what does Elijah do? He goes and tells his homosexual or gay brother, his half brother that's on his daddy's side. So this is his half brother, not my biological son, but he is Elijah's biological brother. He's homosexual, he's gay, and he also calls me mom as well. However, I wasn't a good supply source for him. I stopped sending him money. I told him we can't give him no more money. He hit us up twice for $40 each, totaling $80. $80. Then we spent about $150 taking the homosexual brother out on his birthday a couple of years ago. Daniel and I caught an Uber out there so he could meet his homosexual brother for the first time. So that's how that went. So Elijah goes and tell his gay brother that I said he should have been aborted. So Saturday morning, I'm half asleep. It's about 10:58 a.m. And I'm awakened by a homosexual. I didn't recognize the number coming through because he's changed his number. So I'm awakened by a whole gay man saying, "Hello, Irene, do you know who this is?" Who is it? Of course I know who it is. Ain't no other gay man calling me. So he said, "This is Lil Kenny, and I need you to do this." Now he's entered into a verbal war. Now I've never had a bad argument or a verbal dispute or a verbal war with Lil Kenny that got out of hand. And I've been talking to Lil Kenny since he was a teenager. I never have went into a verbal war with him. But what's happening is Elijah, when you're in verbal wars with narcissists, they go get somebody else on you because you didn't hurt the narcissist. Escalating reactive abuse. Once I say he should have been aborted, because the thing is, you're not going to keep telling me you wish I did. Okay? Empath or not, that's going to stop. You're not going to keep initiating a verbal war with me and I don't come back on you. Does that sound realistic? It's not realistic. It's not realistic and rational to think you're going to keep talking to somebody however you want to, and they never going to say anything back to you. Sounds like a fairy tale to me. And I don't live in fairy tales. I am a human being before I am a mother, sister, friend, co-worker, neighbor. I am a human being first. Okay? And when anyone initiates a verbal war towards me, I feel some kind of way about it. And I give you chances. Usually when there's a verbal war entered upon me, I usually don't say much when they first started. Not when it's just verbal. Because they're not laying their hands on me. So I can kind of let it slide, try to work with them through the matter, or just in some cases, if I can, go no contact. So okay, the gay brother, Elijah's half brother, which is, of course, not my biological son, but he's someone that's called me mom. The gay son calls me mom number 2. This is his nickname for me, right? So he calls me 10:58 a.m. Saturday morning while I'm half asleep. So I'm awakened to a homosexual, deranged gay man calling me, waking me up. So I'm kind of half out of it. So like I said, he's like, Irene, you know who this is? I said, yes, Lil Kenny. He said, listen here. Because Lil Kenny is entering into a verbal war. Now, the stupid part about this is he see how it's going for Elijah. Because for Elijah, I went into escalating reactive abuse. So it's kind of not very smart to enter into a verbal war with me. Kind of stupid, right? But this is, I guess you would call Lil Kenny a flying monkey for Elijah. You know, the narcissist coterie. So Of course, a narcissist ain't gonna remind somebody about what they doing to the empathic person. So look, Kenny is going off. He says, the homosexual brother. So he says, let me tell you something. You need to stop it right now, and you better leave my little brother alone. Do you fucking understand me? You are his mother. You are his mother, and you better leave my little brother alone. Do you understand me? I let him get it out, right? I said, look here, little Kenny, let me ask you this. Do you think I'm saying these things to a nice person? Do you think that whatever you think I done said, do you think Elijah's a nice person? Is this stuff being said to a nice person, basically? Look, Kenny didn't answer it. He said a little spiel. You need to stop it. You're his mother. He goes on with that. He just goes deranged, gay man crazy. Then he hangs up. So I truly believe this. Most gay men are pretty smart. So that's why I didn't go in on him, because I want him to think about what I'm saying. Because all I've been to Lil Kenny is kind. That's it. Lil Kenny's never had a problem with me. So when you enter into verbal wars, this is a normal thing that will happen in a verbal war. So what I did, I waited. That was Saturday at about 10:58 a.m. So I waited till later on that evening, Saturday evening. I waited about 10 hours and I text Lil Kenny and I said, these are the things that Elijah has said to me. He wished death upon me, hope I die. Lil Kenny didn't say it wasn't true. Lil Kenny said, this is how Lil Kenny responded through the text. He says, well, he can say that to you because he's the child. So the homosexual half brother of Elijah that calls me mom, that's not my biological son, he's actually, this is what he's saying. He's saying this. He can abuse you because he's the child, but you are not allowed to retaliate. This is what Lil Kenny's saying in his text. So he's validating that Elijah's saying these cruel things. And he has to validate that because I already told Lil Kenny 2024 how he treats us. Elijah treats us. So he's validating my honesty and acknowledging that Elijah is saying these cruel things. However, it's little Kenny's perspective, his gay ass man perspective, that I'm the mother and I should not react in the way that I do. Like I said, I don't believe in fairy tales. So what's happening here is this. Lil Kenny, the homosexual brother, he hasn't declared me as a human being. Also, Lil Kenny's not a parent. Lil Kenny's trying to be the same thing I am, a woman. But I don't have to try to be it. I'm born a girl. So I'm not going to really allow no homosexual young male that has no children. I'm not going to take much parenting advice from me because, for one, he's not a parent. He ain't been through it. And he don't even understand the correct gender he should be. Lil Kenny running around with halter tops on. Okay. Trying to grow some titties and shit. So I don't really give a fuck about what a homosexual man that can't keep his ass out of a dress is telling me. And the fact of the matter is, Lil Kenny's mama, she's supposed to be a Christian woman, his biological mother, and she did not in no way try to stop him from being a gay man or homosexual. That's just wicked to me. not to try to stop the behavior. When you're a Christian, you're not supposed to be teaching your kids that that's just the way they are. You're supposed to attempt to stop the male and reteach him why he should not be gay or homosexual. And she didn't do that, so he don't know what a mother is. And now she's paralyzed in a nursing home and cannot walk as of right now. And I don't believe he's actively visiting his mother in the way that he used to when he was displaced. Okay. So, so this is Lil Kenny's text perspective. I'm telling him, Elijah has basically wished death on me. So I'm letting him know what has happened throughout the years before I start saying that the boy should have been aborted. And I have a right to say that he's my son. If it's my perspective, I should have aborted his bad ass. That's what it is. But that's how escalating reactive abuse works. And see, Elijah actually can be considered very dangerous to me as his mother. But this is why he don't come to my crib starting shit. Because when you're dealing with escalating reactive abuse, if somebody's telling you you should have been aborted, what they gonna do when you come to their crib? They're gonna abort you, right? They're gonna abort you for real. So this is how I keep these type of niggas away from my fucking house. If it wasn't for escalating reactive abuse, I would already be dead. Now, escalating reactive abuse is very dangerous if you ain't evil enough to kill somebody if you needed to. Stay out of the escalating reactive abuse if you don't have a homicidal ideation. If you don't carry a homicidal ideation, you ain't got a drop of evil in you. You've never had a fist fight. You can't fight. You scary by nature. Don't do escalating reactive abuse. You're putting yourself in a danger zone. So as a disclaimer, these tips are not meant for everybody. It has to be part of your actual nature. Okay. So, this is how this text went with the homosexual gay brother. So basically what he's saying to me is that the child can say evil to me, but as a mother, I'm not allowed to say it back. To be quite frank, the things that Elijah do, if I did to my grandmother and mother, I would be deceased right now. I don't see nothing wrong with escalating reactive abuse because my motherfucking grandmother and mother would have murdered me. If I would have ever told my mother I'm going to put a death curse on her and get a witch on her, my mother, I promise you, I just didn't have those kind of women that I was raised by. So, and it just wasn't my nature. I'm not an undiagnosed psychopath. So what I ended up telling the homosexual gay brother through the text is to mind his business and that I can provide discipline on my son and stay out of my business. So the homosexual brother said he's going to block me and he's going to file harassment against me. This is a tactic that narcissists will use. This is part of their verbal war. However, I don't fear that part of the law when you contacted me first. Handle your legal business. So soon as they threaten you with harassment, put them in the police system. Handle that. So this is within 10 hours of the call. I'm doing this text exchange. So he's threatening harassment. You don't have to call the police right away. You can do it within 48 hours. Some could have happened 3 months ago and you call the police. You don't have to do it the same day. So I'm peeping this game. So what the narcissist is doing when they threaten harassment and they're contacting you first, Because he called me Saturday morning, the homosexual half brother of Elijah's, cussing me out, going into a verbal war. So what's happening is the homosexual brother, he's going into a verbal war with me. It's just a test. He's testing me. So this ain't the first time something like this has kind of happened to me. So I'm very good at verbal wars. So what the flying monkey is doing is testing you. So look, Kenny's telling his narcissist, undiagnosed psychopath brother Elijah, he's saying, look here, man, you hurt? Man, she said she should have aborted you to Kaylin. I'll handle that bitch. I'll deal with your mama. I'm a dark-skinned, tall, gay man. I'll take care of this bitch. No, that bitch wrong for that. She said you should have been aborted. Let me take care of this hoe. This is what the homosexual brother's doing. But he's entering into a verbal war where I, as an empath, I'm already in the escalating reactive abuse phase. Okay, so basically, I have already put my empathy to the side, and now I'm playing cards with my narcissistic traits. See, so it's like temporarily, you're not dealing with the empath right now. You're dealing with their narcissistic traits. But look, Kenny decided to go into this. So keep in mind, Saturday morning, the call came in. By Saturday night, I'm texting him. I'm also testing his character too. So I'm letting him know the full story and just adding a couple of more pieces. But look, Kenny said the child can do what he want to do, but Elijah ain't no child no more. This ain't no teenager. This ain't no youth. This not no 5-year-old. Yeah, if Elijah's 5 and he said the stuff he said to me, of course you wouldn't tell a 5-year-old they should be aborted. However, under the law, at Elijah's age, he's just another man on the street. From a legal perspective, Elijah, under the law, he's no different than a random man that comes to my door to attack me. If a random man breaks in my house while I'm asleep and I was in fear of my life and felt like I had to protect my life and that man died, Elijah's in the same situation. Under the law, once you are no longer a teenager, you are 18 and older, you are just another male to your parent legally. You can unalive your own child if you are in fear of them, no different than a random stranger on the street that breaks in your house. This is the truth of the matter. It's no longer a CPS case. There's no child protective services involved as well. Okay, so look, Kenny, the gay homosexual half brother of Elijah's, like I said, he's not my biological son. However, he's called me mom number 2. So I'm being tested. So I tell the homosexual brother in the text, mind his business. So in a verbal war, I'm a little bit more strategic. I know when to strike back. I don't do it right away. So, of course, this is about 10 or 11 hours. So I let 40 hours go by. 40. Now, in the meantime, within that same 10 or 11 hour span, I contact Elijah and I say, you know, your brother, your half brother, contacted me going off. What's up with that? I said, that's disrespectful. You need to get your half brother. And Elijah says, well, I didn't know he would do that. I said, but you had to have told him what I said. He said, yeah, I complained to him. about you saying, about the I should have aborted you. I said, but hey, do you tell your half brother that's homosexual how you wishing death on me and have been doing this the past several years? Are you telling them? Because the unique thing is, Friday, when some of this broke off, when we was talking about Elijah's eviction over the phone, one of the things Elijah did this time was he admitted to Kaylin that he started it with me. Elijah was very honest. All they got to do is listen to Elijah. He's constantly admitting that he's the one keeping up the shit with me. That's one of the changes that Elijah has made from here and there, is not always lying, because I checked him about that. So Elijah admitted that he started trouble with me first. He admitted it. Now, how much of that did he admit to Lil Kenny? I don't know. But I asked Elijah, I said, well, did you tell Lil Kenny, your half brother from your daddy's side, that you started it with me? So Elijah said this. Elijah said, well, he doesn't really care, Mom. He doesn't really care if I started it. I said, but he should care if you started it. Because don't nobody got to sit back and take your shit, dog. So Elijah said he don't care. And that was true, because I got that when I finally text Lil Kenny after that conversation with Elijah. Because Friday, the call comes in first. No, Saturday, the call comes in first from the homosexual brother, Saturday at 10:58 a.m. Friday, the dispute started with Elijah when I was trying to get him resources because of his eviction that he's getting ready to potentially go through. So Saturday, the phone call comes in. Saturday morning, that call comes in from the half homosexual brother, half brother. Then I wait to contact Elijah later. That way I'm calmed down to figure out what's going on. So Elijah gives me his spiel and tells me, the half brother, Lil Kenny, don't really care if he started it or not, which that's not beneficial to me, because he should care. I'm like this. Once you tell me you started some shit with somebody, I'm not going to say nothing to the other person. You just admitted you started the whole thing. I'm going to be your best friend and say, I suggest you stop starting stuff. That's not good for you or the other person. I'm going to be a real friend to you. Like, that's not a good idea. So then I get the information from Elijah. So I start texting the homosexual brother. No profanity, no nothing like that. So what the homosexual brother is doing, he's a narcissist. So he's asserting control over me. Okay. And he's decided to go into a verbal war. The homosexual brother, like I said, he basically letting Elijah know, I'll get that bitch under control. I'll take care of it. That's what's saying. And I know that that's how it's going, because I could tell when the homosexual brother called me at 11 a.m. and I've never raised my voice at this man, right? And he called me doing that gay screaming at me and hollering and screaming. He's asserting control. He's trying to put fear in me. Okay. And so that's his tactic. Because the homosexual brother, when he made that call Saturday morning, he decided to enter into a verbal war with me when there's already escalating reactive abuse that I'm doing from my end. But what happens in these situations with these type of verbal wars, I'm being tested. So what I like to do is stay consistent so that there's no holes in the link, right? So I try to stay consistent. So, but I wait it out. I got the information, I text. So once the homosexual brother said, well, Elijah can say what he wants because he's the child, which he's no child no more. Let's point that out. And I'm the mother and I can't say that. Those titles don't mean shit to me. Um, I'm a mother, I'm a sister. I don't give a fuck about those titles. Not when I'm in verbal wars. I don't care about the title because I'm dealing with adults, right? The title matters when they're 5, 10. But once you become a teenager, no. Um, as a mother, you should be entering into a verbal war with your child because you got to discipline this child, point blank. So, of course, this is Saturday evening. I contact Elijah, so about 10 or 11 hours after that 10:58 a.m. call Saturday morning, I go into the text exchange with little Kenny, the homosexual brother, half brother of Elijah's. So I tell him mind his business. So I'm not coming in strong on the verbal war. So what I do, he said he gonna file harassment. So I take care of my legal end of it, right? So when somebody say they're gonna file harassment, put their ass in the system first. And be secure. You ain't harassing. If a motherfucker call you Saturday morning, cussing and going off and yelling and screaming, and you call their ass back after you done calm down 40 hours later, that's not harassment. They initiated the call. So it's in your call log. They the one fucking harassing you. The homosexual that I was in ain't no contact with that calls me from a different phone number on Saturday morning, that motherfucking gay man harassing me. From a legal perspective, I'm not harassing this motherfucking fag because I wasn't in contact with this fucking fag. And this nigga's a fag. To call his elder and talk to me like that, and all I did was take the nigga out to eat for his birthday. Me and my oldest son cash apped the nigga, paid for Ubers. I gave him a little gift, gave him a little pocket money. I never talked to this fag in no kind of way. Just help the nigga. This is just out of pocket. So I handle the policing end before I make this call 40 hours later. So I'm covered with the police. I handle my legal side of it before I make this second call. So what I did, of course, he's not going to answer my call unless I block it. So I block my call. So from the time the call came in Saturday morning at 10:58 a.m., I wait about 40 hours later. So it's about 3 a.m. Monday morning, which would be today. So I make my call 40 hours later. And this is how I win verbal wars. Verbal wars, and they say Scorpio natured people do this. We give you what you call fake control and make it appear like you got a lot of control, but really don't. So that's what they say in the zodiac world. I don't know. But I wait about 40 hours. I got to block the number. Now, I've been in enough verbal wars to already know what mood Lil Kenny's in. See, Saturday morning, when he called me screaming with all that gay ass screaming and shit, he probably sitting up with a bra on too while he doing it. When he called me Saturday morning doing that fucking shit, he's gotten all his stress and tension out on me. So at that point, I don't go into a full verbal war. I stay calm. I save my energy for later because I'm not getting ready to give myself a heart attack doing all that shit he was doing, screaming and hollering and stuff. So 40 hours later, which would have been about 3 a.m. today, Monday morning, which would have been 40 hours from Saturday morning at 10:58 a.m., I call Lil Kenny. I block the number, and it does this thing. It says, hold on so I can see if the party wants the call. It does this, right? So when Lil Kenny says hello, He says, hello, because he doesn't know who it is. So I kind of give him a few seconds to kind of surprise him. So I says this to Lil Kenny, the homosexual half brother. I said, Lil Kenny, don't do it again, Lil Kenny. I say, you bitch. Lil Kenny does this. He says, girl. He's settled down. So he entered into a verbal war Saturday, but I striked. I waited 40 hours to strike. And this had to be done because I was under a major test. So the worst thing that could happen is for me not to do nothing about it. And then Lil Kenny go tell my son, yeah, I checked the shit out your mama. You're not gonna have no more problems with that bitch. I handled your mama. The bitch is scared to death of me. That bitch know not to fuck with dark-skinned fags that's tall. I checked your mama, man. So all that she saying she gonna abort you, the bitch not gonna say that no more. This is how this would work. But none of this will happen because I caught this fag off guard and I said, don't you do it again, Lil Kenny. I said, you bitch. The fag backs off. He says, girl, I'm no more hollering. This nigga not hollering no more. Because one thing, this nigga ain't gonna out holler me. Especially when I wait 48 hours. And I didn't have to do all the screaming and hollering he did for 2 to 3 minutes when he made the call Saturday morning on me. I just had to keep it brief. So I did that 40 hours later and I stopped the verbal war. Also, I went in Messenger because he was sending messages to my youngest son back in December of 2025, talking about picking up a package. So after I completed the verbal war, I went into that messenger and I said, this is his mother. Do not send my son any more messages like this, please. Okay. So I think he's blocked and unfriended my youngest son, which is what I want him to do. And also, after I waited 40 hours to say, don't do it again, Lil Kenny, you bitch. He didn't call me back and I blocked Lil Kenny immediately so that he could not harass or abuse me through the text. Okay, so this is an example of how a verbal war goes. Also, I sent a text or something like that to make Elijah aware that I've taken care of that and don't send them my way no more. Okay. It's not a good idea in most situations to not complete a verbal war. You can do that no contact thing, right? But that no contact, that applies to a lot of strangers too, right? So if some stranger calls you and they say they know your address and they go into a verbal war. However, when your own relative go get a flying monkey on you, and basically Elijah, in a subtle way, he's giving him permission to go in on me. Because Lil Kenny might have said, well, I'm going to call your mama. I'll check that bitch. That bitch say you should be aborted. Let me handle it. It all failed. And this is why it failed for him. They were not raised by Nettie. They entering into a verbal war with one of the most solid Negroes that's in the United States, and that's me. They was not raised by Nettie. Okay, which is my grandmother. So if you wasn't raised by Nettie, then most likely you are going to be at the weaker end. Sorry about that, y'all. The prayer app came up, so I just tapped out for just a second to pray. So so yeah, entering into verbal wars. Um, if it's a stranger, I think I mentioned this. If it's a stranger, you want to be careful. But when two people are talking, um, actually, since Lil Kenny has called me mom, I handled him just like I would Elijah. But of course, I have not told Lil Kenny he should be aborted because Lil Kenny's at the beginning stage of the verbal war. So he's not in the escalating reactive abuse in the way Elijah has. Lil Kenny knew to back off. So Lil Kenny's got out the game. So basically, it's kind of like this. Lil Kenny will assess me as crazy. And this is why. As a homosexual gay man, he'll assess me as crazy, but really he's the crazy one to call someone at 10:58 in the morning, Saturday morning, and go off like that and not ask more questions and know what's going on. He should have just minded his business. I already told Lil Kenny, Elijah's homosexual half brother that's gay, I already told him a couple of years ago that Elijah's a problem. So I already gave him the heads up. You can't, don't declare a person's personality through text, y'all, because I don't know what that other person has said to them before you read these abusive texts coming from a escalating reactive abuse from an empath. So Lil Kenny's homosexual gay perspective on what a mother is. So basically, part of verbal wars is they're trying to change your nature. They're trying to stop you from doing something a certain way. And they want to change your nature to something that it's not, right? And also putting you in a great amount of danger. Um, so look, Kenny, he don't have any children. He's not dating a woman to have children. The homosexual brother of Elijah's, he doesn't have any children. Um, Walking around with halter tops at gay pride parades and shit, and he ain't got no damn kids to know what it's like. He don't know what a motherfucking mother should do. And as a mother, he tell me what to do. I'm not getting ready to change my tactic. And I'm not getting ready to change my tactic because, for one, my tactic ain't that deadly. If one of my children want to enter into, they badasses, my children bad as hell. If one of my children want to enter into a verbal war with their mother, and I provide escalating reactive abuse on their badass, it's nothing wrong with it. And this is the reason why my grandmother and mother would have murdered my ass. So I ain't murdering you. I'm just saying your badass should have been aborted. Now, the thing is with a verbal war, so when Elijah got his half gay brother on me, Lil Kenny, Elijah said something like, bye, Felicia. That bullshit they saying now. Some old crazy shit. Bye, Felicia. So I told Elijah once again, I'm going to tell you once again, you should have been aborted. I said, look, Elijah, it's kind of like this. The war ends when you stop it. See, abusers always do this shit, right? Oh my goodness. This is not my first rodeo with this. When I go into escalating reactive abuse with a person that's been abusing me for quite a damn while, it's amazing how many motherfuckers will jump in and defend this motherfucking predator and be like, oh, you're too mean to the predator. What? You need to talk to the predator. Don't talk to the person that's reacting to the nigga. You talk to the predator. Because my reactive abuse and escalating reactive abuse stops when they stop. You stop shooting at me, I don't shoot at you. It's just that simple. And my child, a teenager or adult child, from my perspective, is not off limits to reactive abuse, because reactive abuse is part of discipline. What kind of person does not discipline their child? If I wouldn't be this way, Elijah would already be in prison or dead. At least he over there with his girlfriend and those two children of hers that he's not completely sure if they hers. I ain't grandparents in those children because I don't know if they DNA related. Them, that's that woman kids. I'm not getting in that shit. So the thing is, this is an example of verbal wars. So I shut all that down. So now Elijah's back on his own. So what happens, I handled the verbal war, because this fag think I'm crazy. This gay half brother, he think I'm out my fucking mind because I waited 40 motherfucking hours, called from a private number. After I've handled my harassment legal matter, I handled that by initiating, putting his ass in the system, because the fag called me first. Woke me up out of my damn sleep Saturday morning, going off because this motherfucking abuser, Elijah, is receiving escalating reactive abuse. And it escalated because Elijah been talking shit and abusing his whole family the last 4 fucking years. Really longer than that. But consistently 4 goddamn years, to the point where Elijah's not welcomed in my residence. So, like I told Lil Kenny, don't do it again, Lil Kenny, you bitch. Now, in this case, it is in my norm not to name call first. Okay. But in this instance, I name called first to make sure he would block me. I knew that for him being a gay man, calling him a bitch is gonna make him block me and leave me the fuck alone. I knew that. So when I'm in a verbal war, I use strategy. Okay, I use strategy. I'm a little bit strategic. I kind of know personalities and I kind of know when to say certain things and when not to. So even though it's not my norm to name call first, in this instance, I did. So what's going to happen now with the verbal war? The homosexual or gay half brother of Elijah's, he'll update Elijah. Your mama crazier than a motherfucker, man. The bitch, or I'm gonna be Miss Irene back again. Miss Irene, or mom number 2, she waited like 2 motherfucking days, 40 hours to call me, went in on me, called me a bitch. I don't want to call your mama no more, man. You're on your own. So that leaves Elijah back in a verbal war without an aggressor. Because Kaylin, he has Kaylin to try to help him, but she's not a true aggressor. Okay, I can talk over her. She ain't good enough. She antagonizes Elijah's girlfriend. She antagonizes and starts a lot of shit. She's excellent at that. Also, she's very envious. Kaylin pointed out this last Friday, she said, what's unique about your family is that y'all argue and get into it and still talk to one another. Versus my family, Kaylin talking about her family, they get into it and don't talk again. So she's jealous of the fact that Elijah and I can have beef or get into it with one another or have disputes and we still talk. However, if Elijah wants to see me again, he needs to stop it completely. He has to exit the verbal war, become the old respectful child he used to be, and be consistent and just stop. The verbal war can stop at any time Elijah wants to stop it. And my escalating reactive abuse will stop. I will back off him. But the reactive abuse that's escalated is this. And I'm very consistent. And my tactics work, y'all. I'm very good with stopping abusive children from steadily causing problems with me. I'm very good at it. And the way I do it is that one thing that hurts their ass, that verbal warfare tactic that I use when I'm doing my escalating reactive abuse, I know that it bothers Elijah when I say he should have been aborted. So every time that Negro call me out my name or say anything, bye Felicia, call me out my name, I told him, I said, every time you come for me, I'm going to say this to you. You should have been aborted. Now, if you tired of hearing that and you don't want to hear me say that no more, stop calling me out of my motherfucking name. And we good. That's how I do things. And see, the thing is with Elijah, that he loses sight of, truly loses sight of, is I'm not from this state. I wasn't born and raised here on the West Coast. So he's actually going into a verbal war with a St. Louis Negro, because how I handle my disputes is very much St. Louis. My voice, the escalating reactive abuse that I'm willing to go into with anyone that's disrespecting me, that's my St. Louis, Missouri trait. And Elijah being here from the West Coast, he's too weak to handle a verbal war with me. And he needs to do the same thing his gay ass half brother, his homosexual brother did. Block me and end the game. But this is the difference. His gay homosexual half brother is actually a little bit more respectful than Elijah. To be quite frank, seriously, he's actually slightly more respectful. I'm not going to have no more problems out of the homosexual brother because he don't want to deal with no crazy person. Because in his mind, I'm crazy, but I'm not. He's crazy. What type of homosexual gay man calls me at 10:58 a.m. Saturday defending a motherfucker that I've already told him he's a predator? I told Lil Kenny 2 years ago that Elijah's not about shit. And I'm going to go over the way Elijah treats Lil Kenny. I didn't tell Lil Kenny this. I don't need to. The universe will tell him. Let me tell you about this. Lil Kenny has an apartment now. But back in 2024, he was displaced. Living on the street as well. Elijah got his apartment. Now, Elijah moved Kaylin in, the girlfriend. However, Lil Kenny approached Elijah and said this, man, you let her move in, you leaving your brother out in the streets. So this is what Elijah told Lil Kenny. He told Lil Kenny, his half brother that's homosexual, he said, you not my family like that, man. So Elijah told me how he talked to Lil Kenny. I said, man, you ain't got to talk to your brother like that. I said, that is your family. Y'all got the same father, man. You got the same father. That is your family. So that's where the karma is going to come in for Lil Kenny, Because one of the things I do as an empathic person, I don't have to flaunt my good deeds and how I protected you when you wasn't around. See, the Lord know I protected you when you wasn't around. But I have never talked to little Kenny that way and told him he not family and he ain't our real family. But this is how Elijah talked to him. Elijah talked to his half brother, his gay homosexual brother that way. And ultimately, Elijah will lose that relationship. Elijah will fuck that relationship up the same way he's fucked it up with me and my other family members that live here. That no longer, it's so unbearable. Daniel and Isaiah, they can't even physically function because Elijah's abuse is so unbearable. I can handle it a little bit more because I'm older, more mature, and I'm not from the West Coast, and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm equipped to handle a verbal warfare because I know how to provide escalating reactive abuse. And it's not wrong, y'all. It ain't nothing wrong with it. You ain't got to sit around. It is not a good idea to sit around and let motherfuckers talk to you however they feel like it when they want to do it. And you not ever say shit. You know where those people are? They're in insane asylums, mental health wards. Those type of people have complete nervous breakdowns. Do you realize that escalating reactive abuse, if you do it strategically and calmly and use a little aggression, but don't be screaming and hollering out your mind, do you know that that will protect your mind because you are not harboring all those bad feelings? You're getting that out of your soul. It was not going to help me to not respond to that verbal warfare that the homosexual gay half brother of Elijah's was sending me into Saturday morning. I had to handle that. I feel much better. It's resolved. I blocked him. He's blocked me, the homosexual brother. We blocked one another. I had already been in a no contact with him. I didn't even know the new number. And this is what you have to do. You have to resolve a verbal warfare or verbal war that you're being entered into, because you're being entered into it. Elijah pointed this out. He said, well, who gave him your phone number? I did. Lil Kenny had my phone number because I gave it to the gay brother. So you'll be entered into verbal wars. Be careful who you give your phone number out to. Maybe do this. I'm going to consider doing this when I'm just kind of engaging with someone new in my life, whether it be a relative or not. I just got this little side phone, y'all. I may give them that phone number. So take accountability. I ended up in a verbal war while I'm already in escalating reactive abuse because I gave that homosexual gay man my number several years ago. So I have to take accountability. Now that gay homosexual, which is Elijah and Daniel's homosexual half brother, he called my number and went into a verbal war. And I had to take care of the verbal war because that homosexual could have decided every week he gonna call me from a different number going off on me. See, narcissists don't know when to back off if you too calm when they enter into a verbal war. This is the truth of the matter. So this is how this worked out. And I'm going to reiterate this once again. It is nothing wrong with escalating reactive abuse. Long as you know not to shoot, kill, or assault people, physically assault people. But verbal wars, if you handle a verbal war properly, people will fear you. When you tell anybody that they should have been aborted, they know this, that when they come to your crib, you're going to abort them. You're going to abort them. Okay? So this is the truth of the matter. So remember, narcissists, they start the verbal wars. All narcissists start verbal wars with me. They start them. I don't start verbal wars with narcissists. They initiate it. They do it through randomly calling you, yelling and cussing at you, saying foul and cruel things to you. They do all of that. Narcissists will begin verbal wars. This is something they'll do. However, the empath will be disciplined by their flying monkeys when we provide reactive abuse. Remember that. And that means you're doing the right thing. When that abuser get their feelings hurt, because you send their ass into reactive abuse. And for me, my children are not off limits. Not once that motherfucker's an adult or a teenager. My children are not off limits. I'm really more hurt when my own child, after all I did for them, all the time and love I've given them and how hard I work to provide for my children, I'm really hurt when my own child decides to go into a verbal war with me. So my child is not off limits. Not once that motherfucker gets old. I will handle their ass just like I do any other adult. And I will be more consistent with my child. Because for one, they know better. And that's not part of mothering. If you think being a mother is doing what this homosexual gay man is saying, he texted me, he said, the child can talk to you like that. I said, Elijah wished death on me, said he hope I die. That homosexual say, well, the child can talk to the mother like that, but the mother can't talk to the child that way. That's fucking bullshit. I don't know what dick in the ass fantasy world this motherfucking gay homosexual just came off of. That's a sick motherfucker. But he believes that because his own biological mother never disciplined him and said, by the way, son, you're not supposed to be gay, according to the Bible. He came out talking about he gay when he very, very young. I would have spanked his ass. You gay who? How the fuck you gay? You 10. Nigga, please. So, and as a result of my parenting style, I don't have any gay sons. And on top of that, I kept this homosexual half brother away from my boys until my boys got of age, when their sexuality was straight. This gay half brother, homosexual brother of my children, he don't like that my children are straight. He wanted to be in their life, so they go down his road. And they didn't. Elijah got a girlfriend and her children. Those are her children. I'm not claiming those children as family members because I don't really think those children are related to my family. I'm just being honest to God. I don't believe it. If those children that Kaylin got is related to my family, then she needs to prove that through DNA. But I handled all legal grounds. My conscience is clear. The right thing to do, look, I never called CPS on anybody a day in my life. But it is a time Elijah called me and he say, the baby eating doo-doo. Elijah know that that's not normal. He didn't grow up eating shit. This white woman Elijah with let her child eat feces, y'all. Her child digs in his diaper and eat feces. And the feces matter off his hands like it's motherfucking food. Somebody needs to know about that. So handle the legal matters. Like I said, I've never called CPS a day in my life, and you don't need to call. If you report these situations to anyone in the legal field or law enforcement, you report it to a therapist. Those are all mandated reporters. Contact the police and tell the police. They'll handle it. You don't need to call CPS. So all my legal matters from a policing perspective are all handled. Everything's handled. So this video again is about verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and hopefully this was an interesting story time, and hopefully my parenting tips will help you have more empathetic children. Most children will not be empaths, but a lot of them will go down the drain because of what happens when the verbal wars begin. And like I told y'all, check the description box below. I'll have that updated within about 30 minutes. The case with the grandmother that was murdered by her daughter and granddaughter, the mother did the murder part of it, and the granddaughter just helped pack grandma up. This is why she ended up on a barbecue grill. Early on, there was verbal wars, and there was no escalating reactive abuse. That daughter and granddaughter of that black lady's, and they killed her over a financial dispute because they was robbing her. So ultimately, they got mad that she found out that they was robbing her credit card. That daughter and granddaughter, they should have been not allowed anywhere near her house. And that's part of the result of a verbal war. With the verbal war that I'm in with my family members, I don't go around them no more. You got to stay from around them so they can't take your credit cards and physically violate you. And make sure that some years have passed before, if you choose to give people chances. A narcissist is going to be a narcissist. They're going to be one to the day they die. Okay, that's just the truth of the matter. They will burn every bridge that they have. Hello to Haywood Pittman. And thank you so much for the nice emojis. I appreciate you so much. Thank you again to Adriana Gordon and to Ahoran and Sick Girl Layla. Thank you. Hello to you all. Thank you so much for the chats. Again, this is verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. I see someone just came in. Do you have any questions? If you have a question, I answer questions for free. If you have a question, type it in the chat and I'll answer it right now. I'll give you a couple of minutes. So verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. Once someone contacts you from the narcissist side, like a flying monkey. And they've because what a narcissist is doing, they're trying to act like you're the abuser or you're taking it too far. It's a good sign. That means that you're in the right direction. Long as you're not shooting people down, that's not shooting at you, right? But verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. I gave you a good description of a verbal war and escalating reactive abuse. I just dealt with it over the weekend. Yeah, I could think I'm narcissist free, but I gave my phone number to their half brother that's a homosexual gay man. He still got my phone number and he still contacted me. That's why this channel is so important. It's never going to be a time where I never meet another narcissist. It could be a narcissist I knew from 15 years ago that contacts me. That's why this channel is so important, to help you know how to handle things. Hopefully this video helped. Verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. Escalating reactive abuse, for me, fixes the problem. It goes away. It just goes away. They leave you alone. This gay homosexual half brother, he's blocked me. He done told Elijah the bitch crazy. He's done. It's a wrap. Anytime a Negro waits 40 hours to go in on you, they done thought about that shit. You don't have to take on the perspectives of other people. This homosexual, that's his perspective. It's his perspective that a child can say whatever they want to me and I'm not supposed to say anything. That's not my perspective. Be sound and stable in your standard. That's my standard. And that standard has worked for me my entire life. I'm not going to stop something that works. Escalating reactive abuse keeps a lot of demons out of my life, y'all. They flee, they go away. Demons don't like being abused. They just like a narcissist. That spirit that's on a narcissist, all those spirits that's upon them, they, believe it or not, demons are very fearful of the Lord's children. Reactive abuse and it escalating, it's not wrong. It's a necessary aspect of an empathic person's life that they need to learn, so they not like the grandma that got murdered, cut up, and barbecued, y'all, by her own daughter and granddaughter. I use this case here and there because that's why those cases escalate to that point. Ain't none of these Negroes gonna barbecue me on shit. Because for one, I'm not meeting with them like that. When you're in verbal wars, stay from around the people. And have some self-control, right? Have some self-control. When I called the homosexual gay brother back, when I said, don't do it again, little Kenny, you bitch, I didn't call him a fag or homosexual. He ain't came at me too many times for it to get to that. Now, he keep on coming for me. Then he gonna be a homosexual. He gotta violate me more and continue to stay in the verbal war. Verbal wars must be handled. I gave you an excellent example of how it went down this weekend. I have hundreds and thousands of video ideas, but I tried to do this video right away For one, so I could remember what happened and it's fresh in my mind because it just happened this weekend. I will be attacked no matter what. I love it. I can do a video about it now. There's something I could do about these attacks. I can upload a video on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, for the platform here. I appreciate it. And thank you, YouTube, for promoting me to where I could upload lives now. I feel very blessed. Oh, I also upload regular videos, y'all, not just lives. I uploaded a video earlier this morning saying, "Look at this, y'all." It's like a 1 minute video. So make sure to check my regular videos too. Because I do upload regular videos as well. Shorts, videos over 3 minutes, and my lives. I have a very extensive playlist on my channel here, or the channel here with the Advanced Insight channel. So, do y'all have any questions? Thank you so much for the likes, y'all. I appreciate the 6 likes. Please share the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Remember to do that. If you haven't clicked a like, please click a like. Each like can help you get 20 additional views. Okay? So again, please like, share, and subscribe. This video is about verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. I call it escalating because the verbal war, it escalates how they want it to escalate, right? They escalated, I escalated. It's all about what they want, right? The verbal war ends when they back out of it as well. These verbal wars exist because narcissists initiate these wars. I was half asleep when this freaking homosexual gay ass boy, young male, called me Saturday morning fucking with me. I wasn't thinking about this fool. I ain't talked to this motherfucking fag in 2 years. He's Elijah's biological brother from the daddy side. I ain't never done nothing to this gay motherfucker. Took him out to eat, paid $150. I didn't give a fuck that he was gay or not. I still let him call me mom. Hit him up once or twice with $40, total of $80. Called an Uber to see his black ass. This is an ungrateful fuck. And that's another reason narcissists start these verbal wars because they so motherfucking ungrateful. When he called me starting that shit Saturday morning, the homosexual half brother of Elijah's, he didn't think nothing about what I did for his fag ass. If somebody tell me that they mama said that they should have been aborted, I know that motherfucking child is fucked up. You think I'm gonna call they mama? It's a reason they mama feel like they black ass should have been aborted. This is a badass, disrespectful little motherfucker. That's the bottom line. I don't care if they a daughter or a son. These children nowadays, they don't treat their parents worth shit. And it's just getting to the point that, like the Bible say, they will be lovers of themselves. They will hate their parents. This shit is prophesied. So I gave you an example of how I handle verbal wars. And the ultimate good that's going to come out of this is these children can get them some help, because ultimately the girlfriend, her baby, her oldest child is eating shit. And she's allowing it. This baby needs to go into children's hospital and be hooked up to an IV and be under the care of poison control because this child has ate enough feces. It's like being Mickey, y'all. That can permanently brain damage you. Okay? So any questions, y'all? Any questions? Any questions? I answer questions for free. Again, I'm gonna try to find one of the videos of the grandmother that was put on the barbecue grill. I use her case. May the grandmother rest in peace. I use her case as a ongoing example here and there because it's a perfect example of a verbal war, because the verbal war was also enforced in that case with the grandmother that ended up getting murdered and put on the barbecue grill and chopped up. There was a verbal war that began because they had used her credit card, charged up her credit card. They had committed fraud on that lady, was all up in that lady house. But the reactive, the escalating reactive abuse was not there. And this is how this goes in this case. Y'all two motherfuckers don't come to my house no more. That's how that works. It's probably not the first time she caught them robbing her. Even if they just was just robbing food out of her freezer. Most likely that daughter and granddaughter had robbed her before. And I'm going to find one of those videos and put it in the description box. So give me like about 30 minutes to get that going. Also, I'm going to point this out, y'all. You know, I say chocolate, the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or darker is the most beautiful complexion in the world. However, I want you to become more aware, and I'm becoming more aware as I mature of how when you light skin and you don't look scary and mean and stuff like that, how someone that's the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or darker can be very manipulative and abusive. Be also concerned when people are taller than you. Okay, so it's kind of like this homosexual gay brother, half brother of Elijah and Daniel. But, you know, Daniel is not communicating with any of these guys. Just Elijah communicates with the gay brother at this point. So be aware of physical aspects, right? So I didn't really want to, you know, really indulge in that in my mind because, for one, my mother's a dark-skinned lady. So I don't like to like really like trip off that color thing. But it does make a difference. So I have to keep in mind this motherfucking fag that called me Saturday morning talking shit. He's a dark-skinned, tall, gay man from Louisiana. And he was screaming and hollering at me because in his mind, I'm a light-skinned punk. I'm short, I'm light-skinned, I'm sweet-spirited. And you know, they underestimate that you really bout it. So what I'm saying is it's okay to look at a situation to see the other ulterior motive of why they acting up and why they feel so comfortable coming at you like that. This homosexual half brother of Elijah's, because I'm pointing out Elijah in this situation, he basically feel like he got an upper hand because he tall, dark skinned, and he a man. Yeah, he's gay, but he understands that he's still male. So there's no regard. He just looking at it like I'm like some average height, light skinned bitch he could just talk to however. He doesn't even perceive me as dangerous. He don't see any danger because he ain't talked to the popos about me, right? So, you know, never lose sight of physical aspects and understanding how the narcissist perceives that as a vulnerability. That's why so many dead narcissists and it's so many inmates It's so many little short, average height, male or female inmates that have killed one of them niggas. Because narcissists, they will size you up. And that gay man, Elijah, homosexual, gay, half brother, size me up. And he knows I'm unmarried, right? So this is how they size you up. Be very conscious of your complexion. Light skin to caramel complected. Even though I think the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or darker is the most beautiful, that doesn't mean that certain dark skinned people will not abuse you because you're light skinned or caramel complected. It's all in the same category to some of these real dark skinned people. Be aware of this and be conscious of the underlining motives of why people feel so comfortable to abuse you. So that's one of the areas I'm growing in. I gotta like bring what's in my subconscious to my conscious. And just because I love dark skinned people, and I think the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or darker is so beautiful, just like my mother's complexion, my sister's complexion, my grandmother's complexion, and so many of my relatives in Alabama, I still need to be aware of abuse that's being subjected onto me because I'm light skinned. And because some people that's dark skinned think they could punk my ass. Some of them will think I can't fight. I don't know where they get this crazy ass shit from, all the murders of light skinned people on the internet. I mean, this is just that's fantasy world as well. Fairy tales. Okay. But one thing I can say in my situation, when I enter into a verbal war and there's escalating reactive abuse, they put me in the giant category. Leave her the fuck alone. And that's the way it needs to go down. But at this point, as I grow and understand narcissism better, I'm going to accept that no matter how much I love dark-skinned people, especially dark-skinned males, if they taller, blacker, bigger, gayer, they think they could whoop my motherfucking ass. Because they not reading police reports, right, of how I put it down. They're just going off a physical thing. They don't really know policing history, right? So, but I'm also learning I don't want to enter into these wars, especially physical wars. No narcissist is worth going to jail or prison over. None of them. I don't care if the narcissist is your own mama or daddy. Just avoid the whole situation. Hello, Allie's World. Welcome back, girl. How you doing? Thank you so much for the pink heart. This video was very interesting. This was about verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse from the empath's end. Allie's World, I had a whole, my middle son, my abusive middle son, Elijah, his half brother from his daddy's side, which is a gay homosexual man, a deranged ass homosexual, went the fuck off on me over the weekend, over the phone. I'm minding my own business. And I made sure, even though I got hundreds and thousands of video ideas, I made sure to do this video right away because it just happened this weekend. So this video is called Verbal Wars and Escalating Reactive Abuse. And these both tie hand in hand. Both of these things go together to handle narcissists. And I gave a pure example of how it went and how I handled it. Problem resolved. You don't owe abusers anything. If you got a child that's been talking shit and abusing you and doing whatever they want to do to you the past 4 or 5 years, and they are now an adult, they are now an older teen, and you tell they black ass, I feel you should have been aborted. And be consistent. Every time they come for you, say the same thing. Oh, bye, Felicia. I feel you should have been aborted. I'm the bitch word. I feel you should have been aborted. So the gay homosexual brother, Allie, he was like the flying monkey for my relative, basically. He was the flying monkey, and he began a verbal war with me. Saturday morning, 10:58 a.m. I'm asleep, Allie. Having such a peaceful, beautiful, angels talking to me and everything, sleep. And so in the live here, I went over how it went down. It's resolved. Peaceful morning. There even may be some help for a small child that's gonna get some help. That's his mother is allowing him to eat feces, right? So, you know, sometimes the Lord putting you in a position to help somebody. So, Allie, do you have any questions? Click a like. Allie, click a like. And if you got any questions, type it in the description box. So, Allie, if you got a question, I'll answer your question for free. And please click a like. I got 6 likes. We can make it 7. So who's ever here, just click a like. That ain't that hard. It's one click away. So I'm going to give another minute for any questions. And if not, I have been on this live 2 hours, just about. And this was an excellent story time for y'all. Verbal wars and escalating reactive abuse. That's what I named it. No asthma today. I got a very small coffee. I'm going to be doing some more cleaning and chores today. I'm redecorating every room in my residence, y'all. Every single room, I'm redoing it. I'm so excited about this. Today, I got some rugs and some little cute stuff. So I'm redoing my entire laundry area, the shelves over the washer and dryer. I got some new appliances that I brought in. I love the washer. It's real digital, y'all. It's real cute. And it's super, super big. This washer I got, or this washing machine, is like super, super big. So start working on stuff in your house, y'all. You know, that's why I handle verbal wars so I can move on and be doing something else, y'all. Okay. So please like, share, and subscribe. Tune in for more right here with the Advanced Insight channel. In about 30 minutes, check the description box. I'll have some additional videos for you to watch in the description box. One of them is going to be, I'm going to try to find one of the videos on the grandmother that was put on the barbecue grill and murdered by her daughter and granddaughter. And like I said, those cases happen because there's no escalating reactive abuse. At the end of the day, when somebody killed their own grandmama, they don't have no fear of her because the boundaries weren't put down. Both of them should not have been allowed to be in her home. Long time ago. The verbal wars was already there. It just was. And so helping family members just because their DNA related to you, it'll get you killed and hurt. Everybody that's DNA related to you should not be around you. I was just watching this video. I'm going to consider doing a reaction on it where this man, he cut off every sibling he had at 68 years old. He had a horrible set of siblings, very bad people. And he cut them all off at 68 years old. I'll do a reaction about that later, sometime within the next 2 weeks or something. So, anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. Tune in for more right here with the Advanced Insight channel. Thank you. Bye.